Today on the Topping Show, Joy Reid has a meltdown over Trump's joke of annexing Canada from dictator Justin Trudeau. Biden orders a work-from-home deal for federal employees to try to hinder Elon and Vivek with their Department of Government Efficiency. A trans ACLU lawyer argues 2-year-olds should be able to decide if they want to transition. A salon owner loses customers after her Trump meltdown and degrading Trump supporters. Volkswagen workers go on strike even though there is record low demand. And the Jaguar Type 00 video is one sad cat. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Yes, it does come with a fun Picky Tinny Rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15, like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more. Lastly, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, Volkswagen workers go on strike as there's record low demand for their vehicles. Now, this comes to us thanks to CNN Business, which somehow, still in business. I'm pretty surprised. They've had some major layoffs recently. Now, specifically, this is credit to Hannah Zelitzky, who's a writer over there, in which they say, quote, Volkswagen woes mount as workers go on strike across Germany, which, when there's record low demand for your product, that's not the opportune time to go on strike because there's record low demand for you. And again, hopefully these governments grow a backbone and actually, throw off the yoke that is the European Union. Because again, Germany makes some great cars. Would love to get a Porsche 911 Turbo S one of these days, or just a Cayman. That'd be great. Costs a pretty penny, but their best vehicles are being kneecapped and taken away from us thanks to bureaucratic regulations. I would argue over-regulation. And China is eating everyone's lunch as they really can't be, it's really hard to compete with them with electronics and giant EVs. They're basically giant electronics on wheels. So China's pretty good at ripping off that technology and mass producing it. A lot of legacy automotive companies are really struggling to adapt. Now, going down the body of the article, they say, quote, tens of thousands of Volkswagen workers are taking part in strikes at plants across Germany, marking the largest walkout at the car's domestic operations since 2018. Here you can see a little bit close up of those folks over there. Hard at work, standing around. Now, they say, quote, the strikes, which are planned to last several hours following weeks of collective bargaining negotiations, during which VW refused to rule out mass layoffs and plant closures in its home market. Because, again, there's record low demand. The CFO of Volkswagen, which I've never heard of a company doing this in history, came out and said publicly, we think our brand has about 2 years before it's not viable anymore. There's just that low demand. Now, again, the Volkswagen portfolio does have awesome cooler brands like Porsche, Lamborghini, Ducati, Bugatti. But again, the specific Volkswagen brand, that's the one that's been struggling, and that's the one that has really just low demand. And again, if the EV mandates, that's going to cripple that company even more. Now, they say the drastic measures the company says are necessary, again, the closures and possible layoffs, to prop up its fortunes amid competition from China and weaker European demand. Or, let's be honest, every time we see China, think of Trump go, China, they got the EVs, they're going to mass produce them at BYD, that's why we need the tariffs, throw off the yoke of globalism. I mean, he didn't say it precisely like that, but you get what I'm saying. And they say a so-called peace obligation between the workers and the company, which prohibited industrial action expired, allowing strikes to take place from Sunday, virtually all the factories. The chief negotiator of the mob, the union, IG Metall, says, quote, if necessary, this will become the toughest wage dispute Volkswagen has ever seen. How long and intense will the dispute is Volkswagen's responsibility at negotiation table? He continues saying, quote, Volkswagen has set our collective bargaining agreements on fire and, instead of extinguishing the fire during 3 rounds of negotiations, the management board keeps throwing out barrels of gasoline onto it, unquote. They note that workers at 9 of VW's 10 plants are striking, according to IG Metall, with one site subject to separate collective bargaining agreement excluded, which again, your company's in, it's, again, one of the things with unions, not all of them are terrible and corrupt. Well, many of them can't help but see most of the dollars they generate or steal from the workers in the US go to Democrats, but I partially digress. There's record low demand. These companies are struggling. Volkswagen might not make it, and yet they're saying, no, you should not close any plants. You should not be able to lay off any workers. It almost reminds me of Radio Shack, which I was going to say you can't see on this camera angle, but I do have one of those Radio Shack signs behind me. When they went bankruptcy, they went bankrupt twice, actually. The second bankruptcy, contingency of the company that purchased them out, American General, said you can't close any stores, which that in and of itself set them up for pretty much failure because a lot of the stores are underperforming and losing them a lot of money. So again, with this issue, VW's really in a tight spot here. And of course, they probably want record wages too. Now they say, quote, IG Metall said the walkouts were the first large-scale strikes Volkswagen has faced in 2018, while 50,000 workers sat away doing nothing. I mean, idled plants all day. Although the latest work stoppages will only last a few hours, it's possible to have even more, and they're saying nothing is off the table. And yeah, I mean, I have no idea how they're going to survive. I mean VW. It's one of the things where I think these workers are pretty short-sighted. Again, not all of them, they're not all in unison. Many of them are, as you can see this photo here. But again, Volkswagen is in a really tough spot. And again, I suspect without massive political tariffs to protect legacy automakers, you can't beat China on price or the EV technology because they rip off other technology so expertly. That's what the majority of China's economy is built upon. I mean, shoot, they knock off everything, including toothpaste. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I feel really bad for these legacy automobile companies. Also, I think they need to grow backbone and say, hey, EU, this is also the country of Germany, hey, EU, we're going to make the awesome cars that people want to buy, not the ones that people are less likely to buy, and the ones that you're forcing upon them, and the ones that China has all the competitive advantage to. I mean, VW just handed over, a lot of the money, 4.9, about $5 billion to Rivian in a futile attempt to try to bolster their EV offerings. They're going to do some badge sharing, I'm sure. There's some technology sharing. But again, I don't think that's enough to compete with BYD, which is quickly becoming the largest, I was about to say, elephant in the room, more appropriately, the largest panda in the room. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the day for Volkswagen. But I mean, just anecdotally, do you know anyone who currently, again, I'm in the US, I'd love to hear international folks as well. Do you know anyone who owns a Volkswagen vehicle and do they like it? I mean, I have a very small sample size. I know 2 people who own Volkswagens. One of them hates it because of so many mechanical issues. The other one loves it. Again, that's a comically small sample size. Again, 50% is still pretty rough in terms of customer dissatisfaction. And some of the best awesome models and, they used to be such a great enthusiast performance brand. I mean, but they've lost so many of those. So I'm very skeptical. I'm surprised I still see dealerships in Texas for Volkswagen. Lord knows, I'm pretty sure they have copious amounts of dust on all the vehicles there. I see so few of them selling. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think at the end of the day the union will destroy Volkswagen as a whole? Do you think, how many plant closures will they need to actually, meet the record low demand? I mean, what do you think the future holds for Volkswagen? Let me know in the comments because, as always, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Apartment podcast, you have a salon owner. Her sales crash after she has a Trump meltdown, and she ridicules Trump supporters. Which, spoiler alert, if you own a small business and your goal is to have every prospective client on the planet, or you have something where, like haircuts or, salons where you have a lot of prospective clients, a lot of diversity, probably not intelligent to alienate approximately about 50% of those prospective and current clients. And, even more when you ridicule them. So, this lady, clearly a leftist, obviously, which, let's, now, oddly enough, I was shocked. She does not have short blue hair. That is pretty, as Trump would say, that's pretty rare. Most of them have blue hair. Some of the pink, very, very short, usually the glasses, and of course, the cowring, which I still have no idea who's telling these women that cowrings are attractive in any way. And yet, it seems to be half the dating profiles out there. It blows my mind and, also breaks my heart. Now, this comes to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, which she says, quote, the owner of a beauty salon in Idaho says her customers are, quote, dropping like flies after her hate-filled rant about Trump supporters went viral, FAFO, or cover your ears if you have children listening, pejoratively known as fuck around and find out, part of the French. Now, actually she has 2 videos here, and each equally, that's debatable. Which one is more annoying or insufferable? We'll play a little bit of each, but Here's the first one where the salon owner breaks down.
Consequences of my own actions. I just had a client send her husband into my salon and demand a refund for gift cards pre-purchased because of my stance that if you support a racist, homophobic, misogynist rapist and you're okay with those things.
And to clarify, she's not talking about Joe Biden, who, yeah.
You supported them, that you are in fact those things. And she was so offended by that she said that she did not feel comfortable coming to my salon anymore. And he demanded, and I said, I don't give refunds on gift cards, but he was just being rude. And so I didn't want to deal with him anymore. And I didn't want to deal with them anyway, because I knew that whole family were Trump supporters, because I've been doing her for 15 years. I've been to her family functions and family events. She's given me gifts over the years. Like, she was a very good client. And I knew that she was Republican, which I don't have a problem with you being a Republican. I have a problem with you wanting to strip human rights away from people. And now it's become
What's her definition of human rights?
Clear that
this is the same thing like women, like they say, oh yeah, it's healthcare.
Project 2025 was the agenda, and
Oh, Jesus.
I will stand up for human rights and suffer those consequences, because I will stand up for interracial marriage. I will stand up for same-sex marriage. I will stand up for...
Is there anyone... That's one of the most cliche things Democrats have done for decades, is the interracial marriage argument. How many people disagree with that in 2024? Like 12 a-holes? Really? Now, of course, she has another clip where apparently her business is suffering even more.
I lost another. They're dropping like flies. I lost another.
Which, again, also, she's in Idaho. Again, if she was in, like, San Francisco, sure, it makes sense. But, yeah, you're in Idaho. Pretty mentally vacuous of you to... Again, I don't think you would lose as much business if you just said, I don't like Trump. If she were to just say, I support the other candidate, I support... Maybe she said... Well, she probably did support Kamala. Or she had a Kamala sign. But, again, the fact that she says, if you vote for this person, you're terrible. Again, that's why she's dropping like flies. She doesn't understand, well, maybe she's that mentally vacuous. Well, no, she certainly is. But again, if someone just said, I don't agree with their policies, I don't agree with your politics, I don't really think you would lose that much business. More than maybe even 5%. But again, when you start to say hateful, meanful things about the supporters, well, yeah, then you're insulting all those folks. There's a difference between being just agree to disagree is what people used to say back in the day, and very few people actually gave a darn about politics. I have a suspicion that many Democrats have replaced religion with politics. That's why we see so many of them so passionate about it. But yeah, she just insulting people because of how they support a candidate, which again we've seen disproportionately on the left, is not intelligent. That's why she's losing all these clients. If she just said, I don't like Trump, that'd be fine. But the fact that she's saying, oh yeah, all the supporters are evil, all of them are bad. Let's hear more of her woes, which, again, I'm fascinated. She does not have a cow ring. That's a statistical outlier, to say the least.
One of my clients today.
Now, she does have some creepy eyebrows. I'm not sure if she just used a Sharpie to draw them on her face. Interesting fashion choice, I suppose.
Clearly was a Trump.
Although she does have, what is it, like 3.5-inch nails glued on top of her nails? I forget what the girls call that, which F- for function and D- for fashion. No, we'll do F- for fashion, F- for function, now that I think about it.
Supporter. And they sent me a message. They never cancel their appointment. They don't have the courage to cancel their appointment. And it's just fucking rude. But anyway, she messaged me after I had messaged her. Like,
That's a little low. I'm one of those folks where, again, she's being very mean and divisive. I was still getting down, going to Salon, obviously. Then you get a haircut once every other fiscal quarter. But yeah, I would at least cancel on someone or give them a heads up notice.
Like, hey, I had you down at 3, just making sure you're on your way. I'm making sure you're okay. And she wrote back, Dear Tiffany, spelled my name wrong. I am so sorry that...
So you know someone's entitled to spell my name wrong. Everyone's human.
This last election has upset you so much. as to elicit the hateful public post you made on TikTok. Not once, but twice. I have really thought highly about you, and your posts have broken my heart. Since you have made it clear how you feel about anyone who doesn't share your opinion, I feel you have left no opinion but for me to move on. I wish you the best, and I am terribly sorry. So, just continuing to lose clients, and I would rather go work at Chipotle, and I was not lying when I said that I was headed to my Chipotle interview, because I did apply to Chipotle because
I laugh at that, not because there's anything wrong with Chipotle. Anyone who has a job and works like hell, I respect them. I laugh because she's not qualified for a job at Chipotle, because guess who you serve at Chipotle? You serve people. And she clearly does not have people skills, which is saying a lot coming from me. Now, it was one of the things where, again, at Chipotle, what if she sees someone with a Trump hat? Is she going to freak out? Will she refuse to sell them food? Will she refuse to give that extra scoop of guacamole or whatever the people add to the food these days? Although I think it has been a decade plus since I've been to Chipotle, I do understand that guac is too expensive these days. That's the most I know about Chipotle lately. But yeah, she's not qualified for any customer-facing role, I would think, at this point. Because again, she's literally burning bridges and calling people derisive names because of their political ideology, political beliefs, or choices. Yeah. But I know she's insufferable, but it's almost done, I promise.
I'm not going to ask for a handout, and it's been a rough year. I'm a single mom, and my ex-husband does help me out a lot during this time because I refuse to ask for help.
Wait a minute. Let me rewind that for a New York minute here.
It's been a rough year. I'm a single mom, and my ex-husband...
Been a rough year, and yet she still probably voted for Kamala. It's been a rough year, and you chose to alienate half of, or actually no, statistically speaking, one half of your prospective clients. Although maybe I take that back. Men don't go to salons that I know of, so maybe a little bit less than half of her prospective and current clients. But yeah, again, if she just said, I don't like Trump, she would not lose more than 5% of her clients, if I were to guess. But the fact that she's continuing insulting all of them, that's ridiculous. Another thing you don't see from people on the right, or people who are libertarian on average. You only see this from radical leftists. And that's, again, she's saying it's a bad year, and she just voted for 4 more years of a bad year. Most likely. Ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Almost done, I promise.
My husband does help me out a lot during this time because I refuse to ask for help. But I would rather go and do what I need to do and work at Chipotle after my 22-year career in this industry and refuse to let people feel comfortable in my space to support racism, homophobia, and misogyny, and a rapist. I would rather go work there than have people feel comfortable in my space with that and that mentality. So, again, I'm reaping what I sow. I am suffering the consequences of my own actions.
Can't believe she's acknowledging that.
What I said. I absolutely stand by what I said. And
lean into the crazy.
Working at Chipotle as a business owner and a salon owner of 22 years. Say hi.
So she's throwing away her dream and her life for...
Be kind, because this life is fucking hard.
And this life is hard. You're choosing to make it harder. Now, granted, I'm mature. I would never recommend this, but someone, if they're at the Chipotle, they should go there with a Trump hat, Trump pin, a Donald Trump suit, just to say hi and order the biggest sub and say, wow, the economy's so great, I can now afford a sub. I mean, I would never do that, but it'd be hilarious if someone did. And yet, she's still going viral online. And yeah, got about, 1.8 million views and 22,000 likes, which, again, I can't imagine destroying your life being so misinformed. Now, Brick Suit, he has the classic chart that says F around and find out. And yeah, she's off the chart, getting 2.2 thousand likes. Stats First 84 says, well, she said FAFO, they don't need to call you to cancel. The moment she opened her trap and said the hateful rhetoric she dig, she canceled herself. I hope she has better luck at Chipotle, getting 423 likes. Which, again, I don't think she's suited for any customer service role. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, okay, cool. maybe some people should stay out of politics if they find themselves unable to keep their composure, getting 882 likes, which, again, kind of beating the dead horse right for the umpteenth time, but if she just said, I don't like Trump, I vote for, she said that, I can't even, the words are so viscerally disgusting, I can't even, say I voted for that position. But if she were to just have calm and, if she wasn't hateful of other people, she wouldn't lose everything. She's so ignorant. But we also have Chuck Costello saying, quote, what did she think was going to happen, getting 933 likes? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure she thought she was going to get like accolades and the cliche copy paste of, you go girl, something to that effect. And yeah, I'm pretty sure she probably thought she maybe should go viral, so to the point where she becomes the -- salon. Which, again, if she was in San Francisco, if that's your core market, or it's like a deep blue area, like Oregon or Washington or Minnesota or Chicago, then yeah, that might make a little more sense. You might be able to get some of those Kamala fans to come get their salon work done at your place, but she did it again. It also blows my mind. She did it in Idaho. You also have Chuck Costello. Oh no, sorry. You have AKA saying, "I mean, good," getting 374 likes. David Santa Clara says, "quote, single mom losing clients, depends on ex-husband for funds, has these nails." Yeah, and those eyebrows, they creep me out. Getting 1.3 thousand likes, which, yeah, F- for fashion lady. I don't. Again, that blows my mind. Do any of the guys out there, do you find those long, comical fingernails or the cow ring in any way attractive? It has to be something women just do for themselves. Let's see. Any contrarian statements here? No, not seeing too many. Paratrooper Brady says, keep politics out of business. Don't you learn anything from Bud Light, getting 881 likes. Overtime says, if she really owned a salon for 22 years and she's broke, then she's filling out applications for Chipotle, then she absolutely failed as a business owner, getting 350 likes. Which, yeah, I don't know, it almost seems two-faced of her to have a friend for over a decade, when, again, based on her video, she hates her friend, so probably more of a friend of convenience or really just someone you could take money from. Again, she's saying all people that believe in Trump are these hateful, evil things. And yet, she went to those friends' parties, she went to those friends and got gifts from them for like a decade plus. You also have Akush Sharma saying, quote, she has several of those videos whining she is losing clients because she won't do hair for Trump supporters. She has to get another job now, and Chipotle won't hire her if that tells you something. Getting 685 likes. Dio says, Idaho's beauty salon scene just got a whole lot less hateful, getting 143 likes. See. Dana Simmons says, small business owners should probably keep their mouths shut and just tend to the business, getting 791 likes, which, yeah, they probably should. I mean, I don't, but most of them do. But again, I don't, if you listen to most of this podcast, you listen to this, it's been over a year, I never insult the supporters of Kamala or Biden or anything like that, and I always address their core competence, or rather lack of competencies. I always critique their policies I don't like Kamala's price controls, or the fact that he wanted to, and he suggested, banning popular rifles during the 2020 primary. And even gave Biden credit when he said he wouldn't do that during the primary because it's unconstitutional. I'm like fun of radical leftists because if they want to, in my opinion, take advantage of children and transition them, I think those people are evil. But on average, the Democrat supporters, I don't derive them. So I suspect I might lose some business because of the show, but I suspect overall, if anything, well, that's why I sponsored it as well. If anything, I think it'll be a net positive. But as a wise man once said, time shall tell. Who knows? Maybe by tomorrow I'll be half gone. Who knows? I'm pretty optimistic. You also have Bruce Blau saying, good. I hope they continue to go elsewhere. We're sick of their nonsense and hatred, getting 405 likes. Which, again, for the last time I say it. But yeah, she just said, I agree to disagree. She wouldn't have this issue, but I digress. Let's see here. Rebecca says she says hateful things about Trump supporters and then has the audacity of calling Trump supporters rude for not calling ahead to cancel her appointment, getting 785 likes, which, I'm one of those things where it's like, I'm so conflicted because, wise man once said turn the other cheek, but I don't know. I'm one of those people where if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there with bells on, so to say. And shoot, with most of my appointments, I get there, well, if it's for business, I make sure I'm there at least 10 minutes plus early. But even if it's for my dental appointment or stuff like that, I'm still going to be early. I mean, I would have just had it if I were in that scenario, which I wouldn't. Obviously, you see me. I don't go to salons. I get a haircut once every fiscal quarter or every other fiscal quarter, so it seems. I would probably just call ahead and say, hey, based on your recent video, I don't want my money to. I mean, you obviously don't want my business because of what you insulted me. I would have called ahead, but that's just me. So it'll be interesting to see if she continues to make these videos. Maybe she, there's a couple video or pictures of her with the eyebrows. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if she actually does really go out of business. Probably depends on how much her husband can help her, or ex-husband rather. And yeah, just again, being abrasive like that and calling people out, or rather, calling them such hateful things, not a smart business idea, not even a good human idea, because you're going to lose some friends in that doing that as well. And we'll see how many more meltdowns we have from radical leftists who clearly are not handling the election results positively. But let me know, do you think we'll see an increase in frequency of these, especially as we get closer and closer to the inauguration day? Let me know your thoughts are, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have the trans ACLU lawyer saying 2-year-olds know that they should be able to do transition. Which, yeah, fact check, no, absolutely not. That's insanity, and quite concerning to say the least. Which, yeah, if you want to know why Trump won this election, one of the big variables, I believe, is the trans issue with children. Very few people give a darn about what adults do in their bedroom, yet alone in, I guess, their operation room. Very few people care about that. Much more people care about the kids. And as they get older and older, it is cliche, but I do think of the, was it the reference wife from The Simpsons who always said, think of the children? It's a cliche, but it is true, and they obviously can't consent to anything because they're children, and yet you have people arguing they should be able to make life-changing permanent damage to their bodies. I think that was one of the big reasons why Trump won, because he's going to put an end to that on a federal level. We'll see how it plays out state to state, or if they can. I suspect this will end up at the Supreme Court. Now, this brought to us thanks to Libs at TikTok, in which she says, quote, this trans lawyer will be arguing in front of the Supreme Court against Tennessee's ban on child, cover your ears if you have trouble listening, sex changes. It's very worried that South Carolina will uphold the ban on child sex changes and thinks 2-year-olds know that they're trans. This is also originally published by Chris Hokic. Looks like it's on CNN, which somehow, again, still in business. They probably have about 18 employees left, but again, still in business. Is pretty impressive.
Lawyer who's going to argue this high-profile case before the U.S. Supreme Court. Chase.
Oh, sorry, I should put a visual disclaimer. It looks like Rachel Maddow on testosterone. I have to check the AI from Twitter or X is Grok. It looks, yeah, if you're, might be an instance where you're glad you're not watching on Rumble or YouTube. This is a, it's a trans individual, but yeah, it looks like Rachel Maddow took a lot of testosterone and grew a really rudimentary mustache.
Strangio, Chase.
No, I'll give this individual credit. They suited up, which, again. Also, is this, I was going to say, ears as wide as Will Smith's.
Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So the case comes at a time when 26 states have passed laws restricting healthcare treatments for transgender youth, according to a CNN analysis of data from the nonprofit think tank Movement Advancement Project. So how do you plan to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court in a case that could have wide-ranging implications beyond the state of Tennessee?
Well, thank you for having me, Jake. And obviously, this is a critical inflection point for transgender people across the country. We're coming off of an election season.
This is too funny. Apparently, this individual's name is Chase Strangio. Strange. It's an oddly appropriate name. Hilarious. That's just too funny. That's coming from me, and my name is Topping. But I digress.
And where transgender people played an outside role in people's consciousness in terms of the way in which we were situated.
Again, this is the co-director of ACLU LGBT and HIV project.
As a threat to others. And when we look at the map of states that ban this type of evidence-based healthcare, we went from 0 states that had these bans in 2020 to now more than half the country. So before the court tomorrow, the question is really a simple one as I see it. It's really, this is a law that bans medical treatment only when it is prescribed inconsistent with an individual's sex. Our argument is that that treats people differently because of their sex, and therefore the court has to treat it like all other forms of sex discrimination, and that's why it's unconstitutional.
So attorneys representing...
Ironically, from the same people that don't believe in the Constitution want to ban guns and free speech, but I partially digress.
The state of Tennessee told the U.S. Supreme Court, quote, if the government's theory holds, men who identify as women could claim constitutionally based access to women's bathrooms, women's locker rooms, and women's sports. Accepting that theory would perversely erode women's rights and jeopardize landmark statutes protecting women's equal access to schools, winners' podiums, and beyond. What's your response to that?
Well, I obviously disagree with that premise that allowing transgender women into women's sports or women's bathroom is a threat to women, but it is also not the question before the court in this
Has
case.
this individual never read a newspaper? Well, more realistically, turned on the internet? How many instances have we covered on this show alone of biological women literally getting beaten to a pulp in sports because they have biological men joining those sports? I mean, in one case, we were talking broken bones. Not only just stolen scholarships and opportunities, but also physical damage. Does this individual not have the internet?
Case, and in fact, it is a totally independent question about whether a law that bans medical care for transgender adolescents discriminates against people based on sex versus these separate cases that preceded any of these healthcare bans will continue to be litigated in the courts regardless of the outcome here. So that clearly is conflating a bunch of different questions. The question before the court tomorrow is about whether banning medical care, overriding the consent of parents, the recommendations of doctors is a violation of equal protection.
What do you say to physicians who are sensitive and supportive of trans kids, obviously don't want suicidal ideation, etc.?
Ridiculous. Look at the statistics. Again, it's heartbreaking. You never want people to pass away. But statistically speaking, the people who transition, children, when you look at the folks who transition or do not transition, again, most of them will grow out of it. It's just a phase. Statistically, the suicide rates are the same. They don't need a scalpel. They need to talk to someone. But that's just me.
But wonder if there is enough data as of now to prove that it is beneficial to allow these sort of treatments before the age of 18.
So I would say three things. And the first is we have decades of both clinical experience and research data showing that this is medical treatment that provides critical benefits to adolescents who need it. And so this is not new. This is not new medication. And so we have that information.
That's true. It's not new medication. The medication was used to castrate. Again, this whole section should be cover your ears if you're listening. Like Lupron, that was a chemical drug used to castrate sex offenders. That's what they're using on children. So this individual is right. The drugs aren't new, but they're being used off-label. They're being used for improper usage. It's being used for, Jeez.
We have long-term studies that track people for 5-6 years. The Supreme Court this week heard arguments in an FDA case in which the FDA referred to long-term as being 6 months of follow-up. Here we have years of follow-up. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is nobody has to provide this medication to adolescents. These are not doctors being forced to provide this medication. These are doctors who are wanting to treat their patients in the best way that they know how based on the best available evidence to us. And these are young people who may have known since they were 2 years old exactly who they are, who suffered for 6-7 years before they had any relief. And what's happening here, it's not the kids who are consenting to this treatment, it's the parents who are consenting to the treatment. And as a parent, I would say when our children are suffering, we are suffering. And these are parents who love their children, who are listening to the advice of their doctors, of the mainstream medical community, and doing what's right for their kids, and the state of Tennessee has displaced their judgment.
Earlier this year, England's National Health Service stopped prescribing puberty blockers for children with gender dysphoria, claiming that there's, quote, not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness. It does seem as though, whereas Europe used to be more progressive on these issues, they're dialing it back now.
I don't totally agree with that premise. There's a subset of European countries that are imposing some guardrails on the prescription of the care, and the puberty blockers pause is temporary. And of course, there's no comparable restriction on restrictions for hormone therapy for transgender adolescents in the UK. But all of these countries that have taken a look at care in Europe and have put in some caution have not done two things that Tennessee has done. Stripped adolescents of the care that they are receiving, and that is something that Tennessee has done through SB 1. And the second is provide no clinical pathway for people to receive the care.
Yeah. Party of insanity. Now, culturally speaking, I think we are winning the culture war. I think more and more Americans are seeing this and wondering, what the hell is this individual? And then also, yeah, their statements are as insane as their look in terms of this individual in the ACLU. Also, talking about, yeah, an organization used to stand for free speech, now it's pro-censorship and pro-transing of kids, which, yeah, pretty creepy. Probably should defund them. Now, this one pretty well. I got 1.9 million views as well as 16. Was that 16? Oh, I thought I could make it 17. Nope, 16,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Alex saying, quote, Rachel Maddow grew a mustache for No Shave November. It's December. Isn't she going to shave it? Got 971 likes. Valentina Gomez says, 2-year-olds can't even go to the bathroom on their own, much less know what gender is. This guy's a groomer and sounds like a pedo with his children obsession. Although, again, that was a woman. Got 1.3 thousand likes. And probably why this video will get taken down or blacklisted off the YouTube. Which, again, go to rumble.com, the Topping Show, for awesome uncensored show. Planet of Memes, a little disappointing. No meme. Nevertheless, this alleged Planet of Memes says sick and disgusting stuff here, getting 303 likes. AKA says disturbing people, getting 237 likes. What is this? Mag23 says 5 or 6 years. Get the F out, freak, getting 2 likes. I Love American News says, I agree with Elon Musk. Elon Musk, a picture of him in a suit because he's suited up as all men should. And it's a quote from Elon saying, quote, any parent or doctor who sterilizes a child before they are consenting adult should go to prison for life. I got 953, making 954 likes. Mark says, these people are disgusting and evil. Protect your children from them. And it's a picture of, it's the famous meme girls, the kid sitting in the, what is it, the car seat? It looks funny. Says, you're telling me I can't pick my bedtime, but I can pick my gender, getting 377 likes. Common Sense Prevails, good meme or good comic strip, says he's worried he's not able to mutilate children. What a sicko. Says, and as a kid asking dad, can I have a cigarette? He goes, no, you're 5. Can I have a beer? No, you're 5. Can I drive a car? No, you're 5. Can I take hormones and change my sex? Sure, you know best, getting 112 likes, which that's one of the best metaphors for this whole controversial cultural topic, I believe. Because again, it's a cliche as all the time, but I mean, no parent would ever let their kid get a tattoo. And yet, I mean, every kid always asks, like, oh, could I have alcohol? Some kids will ask, for things at inappropriate times, which, again, I guess it's just, part of growing up is you learn your, age-appropriate things. Well, unless you're leftist, but most people with modicum of morals do understand that concept. And, yep, it's the one caveat where leftists are like, oh, yeah, that's okay. Red Wave Press says, no doubt in my mind, this woman should be in jail, getting 242 likes. The Modern Populist says, quote, public opinion has turned against him. It won't be long before more states ban genital mutilation surgery. It's exactly what it is, and it has to stop. Look up the stories of detransistors. It's horrific. Again, thank God for Elon Musk, because, again, those stories were all blacklisted. They were all hidden before he took over. Now, those stories are actually growing in popularity as more and more people realize the detrimental health effects and side effects of all those procedures. And I'm scrolling down. I'm not seeing any contrarian statements thus far. A lot of people doing screenshots of that individual. Some of them bringing up statistics on, who are statistically speaking the most likely to take advantage and hurt children. And it's also the cliche comparing there's no such thing as a dog that's a vegan. There's just a dog owner that's a vegan. They're kind of drawing that parallel as well. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out in court. And again, it's going to the state Supreme Courts, but I guess eventually it'll get to the United States Supreme Court. And, it is quite concerning you have someone on the Supreme Court who can't define what a woman is, Ketanji Jackson. But, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. And again, let me know in the comments, do you think eventually will the federal government say that states don't have the autonomy to decide this particular issue? And, I mean, do you think on average, the average American person or individual, do they disagree or do they agree with the fact that you should not transition kids? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Joy Reid meltdown over Trump's annexation of Canada joke, which, again, of all the things Trump has proposed, I mean, shoot, I feel bad for the people who are under the dictatorial boot of Justin Trudeau, who, again, seized the bank accounts of truckers who didn't want the jab, which, again, that's disgusting. They took stealing your money that way. They also disarmed law-abiding citizens there. You don't have the right to defend yourself in Canada with firearms, like, God bless America, which, again, God made man, but Samuel L. Colt made man equal. So they're disarming people in Canada. It's one of the most evil 1984 governments out there. I wouldn't be opposed to, liberating those folks. There are some good Canadians. They listen to the show. I'm always excited to see the download map and, where are folks around the world. And yeah, there's some Canadians stuck behind enemy lines who appreciate the show. I do appreciate y'all. Or, I don't know what would the Canadian verbiage be? Appreciate. No, I can't think of a funny word at the moment, but you get what I'm saying. Now, this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, and I should use a visual disclaimer here. You are about to see Joy Reid, who, ironically enough, is more often than not full of joy and can debatably read. Probably can. Now, this comes to us thanks again by End Wokeness. It says, ha ha ha, Joy Reid is melting down over Trump's joking about annexing Canada and threatening Hamas. And about 2 minutes and 51 seconds, and oh, darn it, I'm sorry, I made it bigger. Now she's taking up a larger portion of the screen, or picture-in-picture if you're watching on the Rumble or the YouTube. And yeah, for someone who hates Trump so much, I don't know why she has the same hair color as him. I want to say she gets an F- for fashion, but she has some type of sweater with some rudimentary black and white pattern on it, and earrings that, I don't know, I think they call them the hoop earrings, and about 18 pounds of makeup, which, talk about a money saver, I can't imagine how much money people waste on makeup in general, but yeah, that's a copious amounts of makeup. I guess you think she looks cool with the purple eyes, but I partially digress. It might hurt your earballs as well. Apologies.
We are seeing a global trend of the far right surging. It isn't just happening here. But let's bring you back to the U.S. and to our local gangster, Donald Trump. He's not even president yet, and he's already spending his time sitting in his golden palace, Mar-a-Lago, muscling other countries.
Now, that is very insultive, Ms. Joy Reid. Is it pronounced, and I use the Urban Dictionary, it's pronounced gangsta. If you ever want to refer to Trump as a gangsta, I believe that is a proper vernacular in this case.
Countries like he's Tony Soprano with a social media site, doing things like reportedly debating whether or not to invade Mexico, threatening BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa with 100% tariffs if they don't commit to trading in dollars and not their own currencies.
That's something you actually need for global stabilization of the U.S. dollar. Again, I'm not a fan of the Fed, trust me. That being said, the only thing that keeps our value of the dollar worth anything is the fact that we force other countries to use the dollar. Again, the importance of the U.S. or the dollar being the standard for the oil industry is any country who wants to buy oil, they have to change their real money for our fake fiat money. So that exchange makes our dollar worth more. They're trading their actual goods and services for their real money for our monopoly money. So that does help the global value of the dollar stabilize and hold something. Without that, a lot of people are very suspicious, wondering if there's going to be record inflation because, these other countries are forced to use the dollar. And again, Trump's threatening tariffs, which, again, that has been used by politicians for decades upon decades upon decades. But back to Joyless Reid.
Demanding Hamas release all hostages being held in Gaza before his inauguration, or
Well, so she's complaining he wants to get the hostages released because Biden can't do a job or Kamala can't do a job. Fascinating critique, Joy Reid.
there will be, quote, all hell to pay in the Middle East, even reportedly threatening Canada. According to Fox, when Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau went to Mar-a-Lago this weekend to try to talk Trump out of his 25% tariff threat, Trump apparently suggested that if Canada can't handle the tariffs that would violate the NAFTA upgrade Trump himself signed into law, the USMCA, they should just become the 51st state. Just become the 51st state instead and allow Trudeau to be reduced to governor of the state of Canada, which caused the prime minister and others to laugh nervously. And while some are writing that off as just a joke, just a few hours ago, Trump posted this obviously AI photo of him standing on a mountaintop next to the Canadian flag, looking off into the distance with the caption, "Oh, Canada." And for the record, he appears to be looking at the Matterhorn, which is on the border between Switzerland and Italy, not Canada. Oh, and let's not forget, this is the same Donald Trump who at one point seriously wanted to buy the nation of Greenland, even possibly trade it for Puerto Rico. I wonder what this guy has against Puerto Rico. I'll just keep noodling on it. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Bottom line, This is how Trump operates on the world stage. He acts like he's everybody's boss, like he's the king of the world, which is bad news for basically everybody, unless your name is Vladimir Putin, the boss to Trump's underboss. The question now is, will any other...
Again, fun fact, the one time Russia didn't expand their landmass was when Trump was in office. He expanded when Obama was in office and when Biden was in office. But when Trump was in office, fascinating how Russia didn't expand their landmass territory. Fascinating.
Other leaders stand up to him? And who? Who becomes the leader of the free world when Donald Trump ends Pax Americana as we know it? As Nicholas Grossman writes for The Bulwark, there is no undoing damage in history. It is up to those with power and influence to limit it now, and up to future generations to deal with it later. The post-Cold War international system has serious flaws, but at least there are clear enough rules that charges of hypocrisy mean something. Even rules more honored in the breach will be preferable to the lawlessness Trump's second term could invite.
Yes, is mostly meant to be vacuous, but it's moderately amusing because it is Joyless Reid. Got about 270,000 views and 4.9 thousand likes, which, yeah. Paul Zupa says, quote, I honestly can't imagine what Joy Reid's TDS would be like after Trump is sworn in and throughout his second term. Is there a maximum TDS or is it unlimited? Getting 243 likes. Allegedly, this planet of memes, I say that because, yet again, not a meme in this response. It says, quote, MSNBC and Joy Reid have turned into a complete parody, getting 215 likes. Libercat Media TM says, quote, well, I was going to say, well, shit. That's exactly how they typed it out. She's going to hate seeing our new flag then, which includes the 51st state of Canada in it, which it's kind of, they took the American flag, instead of having 51 stars, there's 50 stars, and the Canadian maple leaf. Got 89 likes. Good Christian Engineer says, I can't see joy in Reid's eyes, getting 2 likes. Florida 1 says, I'm glad Trump lives in the head of hers 24/7. Let's be honest, she loves the money in the meantime. Where else can you get such a gig for acting like a loon? Getting 107 likes, which, I don't know, what's the blue, is it Blue Sky, the thing leftists are trying to make? I don't think she could, yeah, I don't think she could actually have a sustainable career on the YouTube. Even if YouTube pushes her to the top suggestions, gives her all the best, gives her all the best audience and just pushing her new viewers and, really favoring her in the algorithm, I don't think Joy Reid would have enough reoccurring viewers to actually make a sustainable career on the YouTube. I'm not sure. Maybe she would go work at Chipotle with the other gal. Now, James Pickernick says, quote, oh, I love it. Trump is the ultimate troll of those in the left. The meltdowns are epic. There's a Trump O Canada picture, which pretty good. Got 70 likes there. Mark says, Joy Reid must have saw this earlier and her Trump derangement syndrome flared out again. And someone has a little video of Trump dancing in Canada. Which one is it saying here? Young man, there's no need to... So if you're watching Rumble, you'll be able to hear that song. Getting 103 likes. Let's see here. One bad dude says, Joy, her parents dropped the ball when naming her, getting 73 likes, which, yeah. So Joy Reid continues to be hilarious. And, I mean, let me know, would you be open to adopting or, oh yeah, here's the, I was going to say really quick here. Here's Trump's old picture when he was talking about maybe buying Greenland, which, again, they got some natural resources. Why not expand? Granted, we're still in debt. I'm not sure how we would do that. Maybe trade something use like Hawaii. I'm only partially kidding. But, yeah, Trump actually tweeted a picture saying, I promise not to do this. And there's a picture of Greenland with an AI, Photoshop picture of the Trump Tower in the middle of the Greenland. It got 6 likes here. So, yeah, let me know what do you think. And shoot, I mean, I feel bad for the people who are under the boot of authoritarianism of Justin Trudeau in Canada. I mean, do you think we should liberate them? I'm only partially kidding, but let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast, you have Joe Biden ordering a, quote, work-from-home deal for federal employees in order to block Elon and Vivek and their Department of Government Efficiencies, aka DOGE, and try to make federal employees productive, which is a tall order. Now this comes to us thanks to JD Vance News, when she says, quote, breaking, President Biden just locked in a, quote, work-from-home deal for 42,000 federal employees, which would prevent Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy from ordering them to come to the office for 5 times a week. Thoughts? Which, yeah, I can't imagine how... You see how unproductive people are in the public sector. Like, if you just walk by the post office, Imagine if they work from home, quote unquote. I can't help but think 99.9999921% of them would be on the Amazon buying those BS things like the mouse jiggler, which is a rudimentary device that tricks your computer into thinking the mouse is moving so you look like you're busy if you're using something like Microsoft Teams or any type of software tracking, which again, eventually you can, you'll get busted, but for short term, or if your manager's lazy, like, a lot of public entities, probably won't find out about that. And this went pretty well. I got 1.3 million views and 17,000 likes. Could we make it 18,000? No, but I did like it nevertheless. Now, one of the first comments comes from Gigi saying, quote, "This is why Doge or any of Trump's new appointments should not announce their plans in advance, period." Which, yeah, it's not a bad idea. They got 3.6 thousand likes. We also have MN Strategizer saying, quote, "The old fool is doing all he can to sabotage the U.S. before he leaves office, and all of this out of spite. No other president has ever shown such pettiness and such self-entitlement," getting 7.5 thousand likes. We also have Cynthia Al American Truther saying, quote, "Easy, make them all reapply. Then, sorry, the positions are full," getting 5.3 thousand likes. I mean, imagine, again, the federal government is one of the largest employers on the planet. Yeah, you need to trim the fat from the U.S. budget. Again, we're $36 trillion plus in debt because of the ineptitudes and or corruption of Democrats and Republicans with their spending throughout the years. Scrolling down more and more, you have Gabo75 saying, quote, "Plain and simple sabotage. Joe Biden will really go down in history as the most corrupt and incompetent and worst president in the history of our country," getting 10,000 likes. Could we make it the 11,000 likes? No, but you'd like it nevertheless. Scrolling down more and more. David Lucky says, "Plenty can be done. Do what Reagan did with the air traffic controllers. He sacked a lot." And it says, quote, "On August 3rd, 1981, over 12,000 members of the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Association walked off their jobs, striking for higher pay, shorter hours, and increased benefits. Unexpectedly, President Ronald Reagan decided to fire the strikers, prosecute their leaders, and decertify the union." Got 2.8 thousand likes. I think 2.9. Oh, almost. 1776 Patriot says, quote, "Nope, the new boss coming in and the old boss will be gone. New rules, new EOs. Biden continues to screw things up before he leaves. Office getting 4.9 thousand likes." Yeah, hopefully they don't actually start World War III. Plan for it, with the 4 being numerical, saying, quote, "There are other ways to get rid of them. Lots of tracking, meeting in the morning, meeting in the end of the day, with accomplishments listed, milestones achieved. I knew a federal employee who just kept moving his mouse all day to show he was busy on the computer." Yep, getting 5.2 thousand likes. There's a lot of that. Jam Monroe says, "This is BS. None of this should stand. Biden is intentionally interfering with the next administration," getting 3.5 thousand likes. Ultra Mega BA says, "Biden is a spiteful, bitter old man," getting 1.8 thousand likes. It'll be interesting to see, can Trump actually undo this policy? And again, I'd love to see everyone. So many people and so many studies say that you're more efficient working from home than at the office. I mean, I would really like to see more data, especially on the public sector, in terms of are you actually accomplishing your milestones the same or more efficiently than when you're at a building or actually going to work every day. But let me know, do you think this ruling will stand? And shoot, I mean, let me know, do you actually think people are more productive working at home? I know there's been some contradictory data on that with different studies, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Jaguar Type 0 video roasted. Which, yeah, Jaguar, how much you have fallen. What used to be a proud English engineering piece of art on wheels with an internal combustion engine, 3 pedals, manual transmission, has now been reduced to a toaster on wheels with a concept car where they say copy nothing, where it looks like a bastardized copy of a Rolls Royce, which, yeah, kind of like a copy of a copy of a copy. Every time you do that in a photocopier, the image degrades. A perfect metaphor for the Disney Corporation, or, in this case, Jaguar. Now, this comes straight from the horse's mouth, the Jaguar's mouth, or the Jaguar's tooth. And it's their exterior profile. Now, they say, quote, Type 00. They said this soberly and not inebriated, apparently. An original work of art. Again, an original work of art. It is neither original and, well, I'm not a fan of most modern art in general. I would argue, not art. Now, I do warn you, if you're watching on the Google or on the YouTube, it might strip out the music, in which case, you might consider yourself blessed because the music is as bad as the visuals. But if you're watching on Rumble or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or what is it, Deezer, Whizzer, Bazzer, it's on like 50 different streaming platforms. I can't pronounce half of them. But if you're watching on there, you will be able to hear the music, which in this case might be a curse. And we're about to see their big unveil that they've been building up to for weeks, getting roasted the whole time. And apparently they spent years putting this together, which also shows you the ineptitudes of the leadership of Jaguar, which, I mean, their sales also reflected that as well. It's only about a minute and 4 seconds long, which, yeah, it's pretty insufferable, but we'll get through it together. That might be a good indicative of the quality of the vehicle. The music skipped there for a second or two and broke down. You see Mars or something. There's Jag. You are. Crappy font. Now, the disclaimer, like all automotive commercials always have, is a little disclaimer like pharmaceutical ads. It says Jaguar Type 00 is a non-production vehicle. So that's another letdown in business blunder. You're not going to be able, you won't even be able to buy this. So the 18 people in San Francisco who really wanted this won't be able to, unfortunately for them. Yeah, I guess they claim it's going to be a concept car. They say it's going to be inspire new vehicles, which, geez Louise, I wouldn't want anything inspired by this abomination. So you're looking like a bastardized 80s commercial. And you can see the front looks oddly reminiscent of a Lennox air conditioning unit. A great quality product, don't get me wrong. I would not design a car after it. However, I was about to say it's almost done. I'm really optimistic. We're about a quarter of the way there, which I was about to say the glass is a quarter full, but in this case, you don't want more of it. I partially digress. Go back to the commercial here. Like a Rolls Royce. Oh, wait, it's Jaguar. And the new logo that they have and some of the badging that looks like it shoots lasers out of. Actually, no, it's not that cool. I think it's a light. It looks like the Puma logo. It's not the proud Jaguar silhouette that we've known for decades. The new bastardized one looks like the Puma logo. And it's not even like on the front or back of the vehicle. It's on like a little quarter panel where 5 people will see it, which I normally appreciate Easter eggs when it comes to, putting, cool things in automobiles that you won't normally see unless you're an enthusiast. But in this case, it's just ridiculous. The worst angle. Puma. Most impractical design on the planet as well, which also looks stupid. So there's no reason to have a giant, again, it's an EV, especially, there's no reason to have a giant pillar going through the middle of both seats around the whole, throughout the whole vehicle. It's just cosmetic. Also not original. They've been doing that for decades. Like they even had concepts in the 1950s where you basically almost have 2 separate capsules for the driver versus the passenger. Again, a copy of a copy of a copy. Almost done that. I think that looks just like Rolls Royce. There you can see the terrible, terrible new logo design. Instead of having a proud Jaguar, the animal, they have 2 J's, crappy font. So one J is oriented in the proper way, and one is upside down. The only worst logo I've seen in business history would be the Hewlett-Packard logo, where it's like 4 lines, where you literally only know it if you already know it. If you look at Hewlett-Packard blue logo, you'll see where you'll actually show an H and a P with a blue logo around it. That one makes sense. I approve of that one. But I think their performance laptops have the one with like just 4 dashes, with 2 of the dashes slightly, smaller than the others. So if you squint hard and you're inebriated and you're a fan of HP, you'd see it, I guess. This is almost as bad. So gone is the old proud logo of the Jaguar roaring, which again is an EV, so I guess it won't do that anymore unless they have the speakers do it. But yeah, now you just have a J and a J, which again, if you're a fashion company in San Francisco, yeah, sure, that probably sell like hotcakes. That makes sense. But again, you're a car company. I think they forgot they're a car company. Well, by the sales, most people have as well. But yeah, just ridiculous. But thankfully, almost done. More pictures of Mars. That says, color of vehicle is shown, London blue and Miami pink, which ironically, only 3 people in Miami would ever want to buy. But I partially digress. And hilariously enough, it ends with a big, crappy font as well. It says, copy nothing. Which again, they copied damn near everything about this car except class or quality. Now, Oh, 3 seconds left. What else could they possibly do? Jaguar. Terrible. And of course, it only has 2 pedals because it's an EV, so obviously I'd never buy one. No manual transmission option. And in terms of going viral, quite the antithesis. Perhaps they're grateful. It's only got 150,000 views, which, again, for a large commercial business account like them, that is abysmal. For me, it'd be a huge record if I got 150,000 views. Shoot, if I got 5,000 views, it'd be a record for me. Again, for a multinational, formerly successful company, they only got 151,700 views, which, again, for the big reveal, is pitiful. Even more pitiful, the like ratio. Out of 151,700 people who viewed the video, 896 people liked it. Presumably, that's the last 896 people who work at Jaguar. Again, that ratio is terrible. Now, going to the comments section, one of the first comments, I'm a little biased. This comment is coming from someone who's particularly handsome and brilliant. He's me, hashtag the Topping Show on X, and I say, quote, "The crappy music matches your crappy Rolls-Royce knockoff. This is art." And that's on the screen. I posted a video, or probably a picture of the Jaguar E-Type, which, again, that, I've said it before on the show, I'll say it again, that's one of the top 10, yeah, I'd venture to say, one of the top 10 most beautiful cars ever designed. Just look it up on the Google or Brave search, the Jaguar E-Type. It's beautiful. And of course, it has the option for 3 pedals, manual transmission, like all cars should have by default, but does the whole body. Every panel of that vehicle is a work of art. And of course, it does have the proud Jaguar logo. And yeah, there's the thing where you got, there is a nostalgia part. Granted, even when I was a kid, that was long antiquated, but it was just, they completely destroyed. I think they completely wanted to they're redesigning the company, but it's almost as if they're completely destroying the past. They forgot where they came from. They used to make performance vehicles, works of art on wheels. Now they make trash. Now I'm a little biased, but I think this is the best comment. Got 44 likes, which for me, I think that is a record actually for a comment on the X. Now, you also have Jeremy saying, "I was wondering where my bread box ran off to," getting 6 likes. Thomas King says, "Used to make beautiful cars." And I believe, again, of all the brands, this is the one I perhaps know the least about in terms of my enthusiasm. I think, is that 1970s Jaguar? Which, again, to me, still doesn't hold a candle to the E-Type, but still. That looks pretty good. And again, one of my disdains to the U.S. government in terms of regulation of automotives, there's a reason you don't see any hood ornaments anymore. It's for safety. Ridiculous, I know. But that one does have the awesome Jaguar hood ornament with the actual Jaguar pouncing, which they used to all have. That got 239 likes. The realist said, quote, "Wow, you took a bar of soap, trimmed the edges, and put a tap on it. What happened to the Jaguar?" Getting 36 likes. Alex Oha says, "Some people at Jaguar hate their partner so much they need to build a wall between them," getting 14 likes. Again, talking about the interior of the vehicle. Yeah, T, interesting name, says, quote, "You guys really messed up. You guys will meet with the same fate as other woke companies. All you had to do was make a cool car, not an air ventilation concept on wheels." Getting 74 likes, which, yeah, the design is, that'd be a fun question for the comments. What's worse, the design of this new Jaguar concept car, or the non-binary weird artist they had in the original commercial, which also did not show the vehicle at all? Going down more and more. Is anyone standing up for Jaguar? Market Wrecker says, "Jaguar chose Miami pink for the new car because nothing says luxury like the color of bubblegum stuck in a supercar." Getting 55 likes, which, yeah, that is not a popular color. That's coming from a guy who likes green cars. I mean, I love my Gen 10 Honda Civic Si. I like unique colors on vehicles, but yeah, that shade of pink is just the worst. And call me crazy, I wouldn't buy one, but there's a couple Porsches that look kind of cool in pink. Again, not my style, but I can appreciate it. But I mean, look at this pink. It's just, yeah, the worst. I mean, I didn't think it's possible. It shows like the worst pink on the planet. Just god awful. You also have Harpy saying 00 is how many you'll sell, getting 220 likes. Maybe 221 actually. Again, no one is standing up for this vehicle. Tony Wang says, "Okay, now show me the real car, prototype or production." Getting 4 likes. Sly Fox says, "They actually paid someone real money for this?" 2, someone actually said it'd be okay. 3, did they use a photo editor or an iPhone 2 for this? Getting 5 likes. Which, yeah. This had to go through so many, because again, when you get to these large companies, there's so many layers of bureaucracy and so many approval levels. I mean, how many I guess, this isn't like a piece of paper going to someone's desk, but how many people saw this in their inbox working at Jaguar and said, oh yeah, this is good, we're going to greenlight this idea? Terrible. And again, we know, Jaguar is already controversial going full EV, which again, I don't think it's prudent because that's a decreasing adoption rate in the US in terms of who's buying EVs. A lot of people are moving towards hybrids, where Toyota did properly read the room right and invested a lot of research development technology in that regard. But consumers, they're becoming more and more wary of EVs. And again, unlike the original Jaguar, which has lasted almost a century, well, it's one of those things where EVs, especially luxury cars, I think are crap, because especially with the batteries, how are you going to maintain that long term? Let me know in the comments, can you maintain an iPhone 2? Definitely not for manufacturer, definitely not very well with any parts replacements. That's one of my biggest concerns with EVs, because I'm someone who, when I buy a car, I want it to last a quarter century or longer. I'm a little bit frugal in that regard. And that's why, especially these luxury EVs, where again, a lot of these luxury cars, people, they'll keep them for decades upon decades upon decades. I gotta say, Jaguar, your reveal of this, this is one of the worst commercials of all time. Your reveal of the Type 00, I gotta say, Jaguar, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.